Okay, so we are covering types of technology this week. Now, this topic is meant to be what's the word they use for a movie? Not a trailer, a teaser. Yeah, this is meant to be a teaser towards towards some of the areas that we will go further into as well. Yeah, but there are technologies that I'm going to highlight today that will not necessarily be ventured into, will not be explored into further, because it's just meant to be an introduction to you, and to, again, as the learning outcome of this module is to give you an idea overall of the different aspects and the different areas of technology itself. Yeah. Since we have covered one topic last week, I've always liked to ensure that we can do a recap. So what did we cover in the previous topic? Share specific keywords. Yeah. I do not want to see anyone typing in introduction to technology, because that's the title of the topic. I would like you to go a bit more deeper than that, to ensure that you are aware, at least one keyword, two keywords, three keywords, how many ever that you are comfortable with typing out. But at least just to recall, you just sit back and try recalling. Last Thursday, yes, we had a lecture, and what do you remember out of that? Yeah, so it will be a good recap for everyone as well. This recap is definitely something that is useful more for you than for me. Yeah, and considering that there is easily about 60 of you in the call, is it more than that now? There are 68 of you in the call. We should definitely be able to cover a lot of grounds in relation to what you can identify. Yeah. All right, Alicia is on top, first in classification of technology. So for the rest of you, then when you see classification, would you recall what are the possible classifications available? Yeah, how would you classify? What are the different classifications of technology? So there were a few that we covered as well. Jesse remembers applied science. So applied science is then leaning more towards technology. But what is the opposite of applied science, which is the other main area we went into? Johnson says codified and tacit technology. All right, so it's always easier to remember them by pairs, because then when I like to say that, because then when you remember one, you automatically kind of remember the other one. Yeah. So it's much more easier for you to then look at them together, because then whatever this is not, then this is being covered. The second one, the second area is being covered. So for example, here this is good, codified and as well as tacit technology. Aidan remembers a bit of space. We are covering that. We are covering space a bit today as well, as you will see after this. One of the areas of the importance of technology, that is space. A difference between applied and pure science. Yep. 4D printing. Dinesh remembers that. I didn't really cover it per se. I just gave you an area for you to identify whether it's a new or emerging technology. For those of you who has found out what is a 4D print, what is 4D printing, if you can just share it in the chat, that would be good as well. Yeah. Saad says questions related to technology. Saad is a bit general. I'm not sure what did you really get out of this, but yeah. I'm hearing someone. So this is the time that I like to just mute everyone. Oh, it's Nihat with a very weird profile picture. Is Nihat still there? No? Sometimes at times like this that I'm worried, because we will all end up hearing something that we shouldn't hear. Okay. So please be careful. Please learn from your mistakes. This is not your first rodeo, as they would say. This is not your first class attending online. And yeah, I have the worst horror stories of things that has happened with students when their mic is on and when even their camera is on. But yeah, it's something that you definitely have to learn. This is going to be a skill in the future, even in relation to your skill, your career as well. Moving on, emerging technology. Yep, high, medium, and low. Good. Science intersect with technology, therefore you get applied science. Correct. At least remember that image that I shared. High, medium, low. Emerging, tacit. problem-solving methods with the help of sciences, applied imaging, applied science, energy and power, a bit of that. We are covering that a bit more today. Plus, we are going to cover that extensively in a topic about 3 to 4 weeks' time. Yeah. Technology class. Thank you so much for the obvious answer, Kasing, but I'm not so sure if that is really beneficial for you to mention. Lumas, different types of technology. Yep. So we went through different types, different classifications of technology. Good, codified, new, emerging classification. Wow, I'm very happy to see everyone is quite on point with the areas. I don't know how many of you ended up maybe copying off each other, but nevertheless, copying and pasting is also a way of learning. So I hope you gain something out of that. All right, good. I recall something about applied science and pure science and types of, okay, all right. You are absolutely right. Those are definitely areas that we went through. Technology is not only the machine, but the scientific way in a lot of fields to make life better. Awesome. Thank you so much, Lim Hao. Right? So that was also one of the main, that should be one of your main takeaways from the class. To then understand that, hey, technology is not just machines, not just devices, not just what you see in terms of that. There are other areas, the skills, knowing how to do something, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Emerging, high, medium, low. I remember about the question of what is new technology. Yep, you're absolutely right. Okay, awesome. 62 out of 68. Very good level of responses. I will find out later who are the 6 people who were not able to respond anyway. Not a big deal. We move on with today's topic. Yeah. So there are key areas here. Don't worry too much about this. Yeah. There are key areas here that we'll be covering today. So you see 6 categories of technology, or rather we call it different types of technology. Again, this is not an exhaustive, this is part of a non-exhaustive list. If you try coming up and identifying the different types of technology, it will go easily by the hundreds, because it also depends on how you look at a certain category of technology. Some will then be broken down into sub-technologies or sub-components. Some can be grouped together, right? So there are so many considerations when you look at this. However, for the purpose of our topic, these 6 areas have been identified because then they are more widely used, utilized within the industry as of today. Yeah, then we will just end with a bit of emerging technology and to try identifying, moving forward, moving to the future, what is next. So these are the 3 of your learning outcomes for today, identifying the different types of technology. You need to know them in the sense of what is the main function of these technologies. Yeah, there will be a general function to the technology, and at the same time, of course, you are describing the second point, all the types and categories of the technology itself. Knowing its examples will be important, right? When you're going to describe something, it's much easier when you're describing with an example. So this is also something for you to take note of, because as you go, like for those of you who remember examples from last week, it's going to be much more easier for you to explain a definition, to try describing a certain term. Last point is understanding the new or continuing technology. So that is where emerging technology comes along. So these are basically the 3 very straightforward things that we are doing today in relation to the types of technology. Yeah. When it comes to the key terms, again, a lot that you see here will fall into the different areas of technology that we are going to look at. You see energy, power, medical, construction, manufacturing, transportation, and ICT again. Yeah. So these are again going down into the 6 areas that we will be exploring today. All right. So first things first. So how is technology being categorized mainly? So there are a few different ways of looking at it. Yeah. We highlighted a bit. It was highlighted to you last week when we did introduction to technology, and you saw some classifications of it, right? The high, medium, low, the new, the emerging, the codified, the tacit. So you saw those as well. But when you start categorizing technologies, it's much more easier for you to group them in a certain characteristic. Yeah. So what you are seeing here, the first point is level of development. So what we're looking at first is level of development here in terms of what are the changes in the technology and what level it is as well. Yeah. So when you see this, it does relate back to the high, medium, and low technology that we saw last week. All right. But there are different levels of development being highlighted here. What you see is, are there technologies that has been obsolete? Are there some which are still around but seldom used? The ones which are current, which is most used, and the ones which are emerging. Yeah, they're still in the very early stages of it, and of course is going to be more popular after this. Right? So it's important to see under which category do they fall into, because then you will know what to do with it per se. If you are evaluating a technology for a business, for example, then you will realize that, okay, do you want to invest into something that is current now, or is it more important to invest into something that is the future, that is emerging instead? There will be times you will choose option one. There will be times you will choose option two. Yeah. And if a technology is seldom used, does that mean it will not be useful to you? Of course, if something is obsolete, then again, of course, that is something that you will want to avoid, or at least that gives you an indication that it is time to use a new technology. Yeah. A quick question here. Whenever, of course, when we are talking about level of development and obsolete, seldom used, current, emerging, how long do you hold on to how long do you hold on to a particular phone model that you have? Yeah, I just wanted to type a few responses in the chat so that you don't need, all of you do not need to type. I'm going to put here less than 2 years. Maybe that's one until it blacks out. Stop! Don't chat, because otherwise I'm going to see a very long list of it. But if you have something else to say, then go ahead. Yeah. So I'm typing here less than 2 years, between 2 and 4 years, more than 4 years. I'm just going to give you three options. Yeah. Oh wow, Eden says 5 years. And I have the exact same face. I'm a surprise face as well. So choose the one that you, how long does a particular technology last for you, right? In this case, your mobile phone, right? How long does that basically last for you? I saw some of you posting, all right, good. I see Samuel posting about 4D printing, Bakar posting about 4D printing, Dinesh as well. Okay, all right. And the three of you are mentioning the same thing, which is good, which means it's quite standard in terms of what the answer is, and all of you are on the right track, and your answers are correct. Yeah. Going back down, I see 20 over of you says between 2 to 4 years. 14 of you says more than 4 years. I thought you guys changed your mobile phones much more frequent than this. I'm surprised. Even Uzma just mentioned in the chat, definitely more than 4 years, and yet you said you're broke. Oh wow. If you spend about, let's say, if you spend about, even, I'm going average in the middle, yeah, not on the lower end of 1,000 ringgit, or not on the higher end of 5 to 6,000 ringgit, but in the middle, right? Let's say you spend about 2 to 3,000 ringgit for a phone, and you divide that across 2 to 3 years that you are using it, only 2 to 3 years, yeah, I think it's quite good. It's quite value for money already. Okay. So Bakar added on by saying it usually takes 2 to 4 years for my phone to give up on life. I see. Thanks to you, I guess, for you to push your phone towards that. But yeah, it looks like a majority of you is definitely between 2 to 4 years. Myself, personally, I change my mobile phone probably every 2 years on the dot. Between the most is it goes past a bit more than 2 years, but it never goes anything more than 3 years. And this has been the pattern of mine, maybe for the past 4 or 5 of my phone models. Yeah. So Asfar says that won't get me a new phone unless it's absolutely necessary. I also feel like my ancient phone does its job so well. So interesting. After every 2 years must be nice. That's where e-waste comes from. Thank you very much, everyone. Well, yeah, of course, one of the main things which is different is that If it's earlier when I was studying, I think it's very unfair to compare when I was studying and you studying now, especially then in terms of how frequent I change. Of course, back then it's not going to be, when I was studying as well, it's not going to be every 2 years or 3 years. And I do agree that it makes a difference now that when you are earning your own money and you will get to decide whether this is something that you will do or not. But to be fair, yeah, I've spoken to students before as well, and I do have students who change their phones every 2 years. Put aside whoever who got it for them, put aside whose money is it that they use. Let's put that aside, but it's more about the question here, and the point here is more about how frequent do you then change your technology, and for whatever the reason is, right? The reason is then also something aside, whether your phone is usable or not usable anymore, and so on. Because then there are certain aspects of your own mobile phone will be considered obsolete. Some will be a lot of functionalities in your phone that is not being used, even though it's there. Then, of course, some of the technologies are still current. Some of the technologies in your phone can also be emerging, right? Like, for example, look at the number of cameras we have on our phone now. Where is that going to go? Is the number going to go up? The number has definitely been going up for the last few years, right? It started off as two, from one to two, and then two to three, now three to four. So where are we going with that as well? Yeah. All right. So thank you for those of you who has responded. Samuel says, I will avoid changing unless there is a need to. Yeah, I think we all basically do that. Yeah. There will be a reason. Everyone who buys a new device or a technological product will have their own reason on why. Because you will definitely have this reason for, it's more for yourself, and for also when people ask you, oh, you just changed your phone, why, and so on and so forth. Yeah. I won't even if I need to. Okay, all right. Interestingly, a statement by Fatih. All right. So I just wanted to introduce this to you and to hopefully, if you remember hearing in your orientation when you joined us back then, one of the person, someone presented on this. I'm not sure if you remember that person, but during your orientation, someone presented and mentioned these two words. Yeah. And this will then move towards the different types of technology that we're going to look at today. But first things first, I want you to see this and do try answering. Don't worry. Again, there is no right or wrong answer here. Sorry, there is a right answer, but of course, all answers are basically welcome. What do you understand by hearing this? By looking at this term, digital disruption? All right, I see in the chat, Bakar is saying, but phone companies stop providing software updates for a specific model after a few years. Yeah, it's, to be honest, part of their business model anyway. Yeah. Of course, they will want you to move to a new phone. Of course, they will want to move you to a new device. Yeah. If all the technological companies are making items that last you 10 to 15 years, how are they supposed to survive, right? Okay. All right, I see a few responses coming in already. Machine fault. San, what do you mean by machine fault? Can I hear from you? Machine fault. Are you blaming technology? Okay, looks like I'm not getting Saad on the microphone yet. Moving on, Uzma says technology that changes the society completely. Well, maybe the word completely is taking it to one end of the spectrum, right? I think your answer is good enough where you stop. Technology that changes the society in many ways, yeah? In the sense of businesses, in the sense of the way you do things, and so on. All right, good. Aaron says, not sure, to be honest, no issues there. Change of technology, yeah. If you are referring, Wen Chun, when you are just, sorry, not Wen Chun, Jia Wen, if I remember it correctly.
Excuse me, sir, I'm here.
Oh, wow. I understand you might be in a different timeline, but it's a very long delay. I'll come back to you later. So Jia Wen says the change of technology. Change here will then be referring mainly to evolution, yeah, not necessarily the word disruption. Innovation that alters how technology is changing everything affects. Okay, all right. So a lot of you get an idea about it. No, we're not talking about digital ruining our life. I know the word disruption doesn't sound very positive, But the reason it is being used is because you need to reflect that when a disruption comes along, it can be for the better or the disruption can be for the worse. Agreed, there can be both sides, but not necessarily negative alone. Yeah. Significant changes, no idea, technology affected. Don't remember, assuming it is affecting the market with new digital devices. You're correct, Zian. Something about new technology replacing old and already existing. Influence of new technologies, advancement, it is the way everything is affected. All right, awesome. Game changer, nicely put there. Not sure, no idea, the change. I just joined, no idea, sorry. No worries, Ayame. I was not explaining this earlier either. Everyone is looking at this question for the first time. Means the world improving too fast. People who stay around their comfort zone will be eliminated easily, like Malaysia? I'm not sure if I get this. Maybe Seng Fong has his own idea. Maybe that's why Seng Fong is looking forward to not continue studying. A distraction on previous phone, new technology. Was this transformation that is caused by emerging digital technologies? Awesome. Failing us, quite the opposite, Jet. After this, the next slide, the next few slides, you will understand what I mean. A trend that changed digital things that change our lives. Good. Problem in the machine that are using codes. Nope, LLM is totally not about that. It's something else. Technology that changed business values in a negative way. So Jesse, as I highlighted, is not just necessarily negative. It can go both ways. Yeah. Because of digital disruption, newer businesses were able to exist as well. Yeah. Some older businesses adopting the new technology was also able to flourish and do better. Okay. All right, awesome. Innovation, changes, new technology, cons of technology. So for those of you who said the cons and negative part is not necessarily so, yeah? No idea. Okay, digital transformation. Wow, this is a very big word by Darren. Again, this means a lot of different things, yeah? I'm going to end the question here. Thanks to the 62 of you who has responded. Moving on. So one aspect, as you can see, that is being highlighted here, yeah? One aspect of the disruption that has happened is in an area of, for example, accommodation here. On the left, you see Hilton, right? The Hilton chain of hotels around the world took 93 years to build. Not today. This is I think easily 3 years ago. This time is probably 3 years ago, and there has been newer Hiltons being built. Yes, even though with COVID and the pandemic, there has been new Hiltons being built as well. 610,000 rooms, 88 countries. Airbnb only took 4 years, yeah, only took 4 years, and they have a total amount of rooms in even more countries around the world. Yeah, so as you will see, there's a lot of different ways on how accommodation, or in this case, building a business has changed. And again, of course, thanks to technology. So it is being disrupted and is very different in terms of how this is being done today as well. More examples will get you on the same page. Uber and GrabCar. Well, maybe Uber is not around here in Malaysia anymore because of how more popular GrabCar is. But Uber is still evidently quite evidently popular in a few countries in the world. Yeah. So as shown on the right here was a simple statistic. Back a few years ago, Malaysians prefer Uber and GrabCar to conventional taxis, and I think this happens. This is happening everywhere in different parts of the world as well, depending on how accessible applications like this and payment gateways are in those countries. If it is available, this is a solution that is definitely around already as well. Yeah. So this has disrupted, GrabCar and Uber has disrupted how conventional cabs and taxis basically work, right? And it is evidently a digital disruption. How technology has brought about change, or rather in this word, a disruption towards currently existing businesses per se. Yeah. So top left, Uber, world's largest taxi company, and hey, guess what? They own not even a single taxi, right? Airbnb, world's largest accommodation provider, they don't own any real estate. Skype and WeChat, world's largest phone companies, they don't own any telecommunication company, they don't own any infrastructure around, right? World's most valuable retailer, no inventory as well at all. Facebook, most popular media owner, or rather TikTok today, the most popular media owner, yet none of the content come from them as a company. Yeah. This is a company in the US, world's fastest growing bank. They don't own any actual money at all. Everything is digital. Netflix, world's largest movie house, owns zero cinemas. They don't need to run cinemas to make sure that people watch movies. Apple and Google, world's largest software vendors, and they don't own any specific apps except for native apps. Yeah, all these other apps you've been downloading from your games to just go down to PUBG or LOL that you've been playing on your mobile phones and so on are nowhere near these companies' contribution. They're all a separate organization, but it is being hosted on their platforms. Yeah, all right. So a lot of these, I would say, is a disruption that has been happening, but you see the trend. Yeah, you see a trend that goes along that it is not necessarily being done the way that it was done before. Okay, so understanding that, of course, when you look at all these different businesses, their main source of revenue can come from different areas. But I think the one that stands out a lot is definitely you seeing from there's a lot more that the main source of revenue is coming from advertising. There is a lot that is going into subscription on the monthly fees and things like that. Yeah, so a lot of those is not necessarily just as straightforward as sales alone, right? So there's another way of also looking at how these type of business models have been changing as well. So based on this digital disruption, so the main message here is that, as you can see, disruption today is driven and enabled by technology. All those changes and examples I've shown you earlier, it has basically changed how things work. Yeah, hence the term digital disruption. So a lot of the categories of technology that we're going to look at after this, which is of course one of the first ones we're going to look into is, oops, this is not. Ignore that slide, yeah, by the way. The ones that we're going to look at in terms of all these different types of technology, right? They are all highly being disrupted by technology as of today, right? How they have been changing a lot as they go. So I see I see a message in the chat. Have you heard of Food Loops? Digital restaurant, no actual restaurant. No idea, Samuel. So maybe I can just take a few seconds to just I hope I'm not going to end up Googling for something that I'm not supposed to be Googling. Oh, interesting. Food waste solutions. So, interestingly, it looks like something that we do not have here. I see. But I think maybe Samuel is talking about something else, because this Food Loop doesn't seem to be a restaurant per se. Commercial pickup, zero waste event, yeah, I think it might be a different one. So Samuel, if you can share a link about what you're talking about, that'll be better. Back to where we stopped. So once you see this, then the idea is that a lot of these areas are highly being disrupted as of today, because then they need to change, because the demand is there, because the way things work will also change as well. Yeah. Another quick site for you to look at. There is a lot of these, of course, websites as such that is providing you with the, oh my God, I'm not sure what is this flickering about. Okay, it stopped. Now, we are covering 6 today, but I just wanted to make sure everyone, of course, you are very aware that the list is much more longer than that, depending on how you look at it, depending on what area and perspective that you're looking at it from, right? So there's many different examples as being shown here as well. Even robotics can be an area, space technology, IT, in a bigger umbrella, for example, business technology. So there's a lot of what I like to call blogs today, who like to feature information as such, which again becomes an advantage to you. The only issue I've had with students is that a lot of you likes to reference all these blogs. Now, even I'm showing it to you here in class. This is obviously a blog, right? Number one, the website is just called Marketing 91, October 21st, 2020, by Hitesh Basin, right? And Hitesh here has written something about 17 types of technology used in the business world. All right. Can I see a show of hands? How many of you think that this is a reliable reference for your assignment? Can I see a show of hands? Raise your hand if you think this is a reliable reference for your assignment. So Asfar says yes. Jia Wen says, who else is there? I only see 2 for now. Okay, all right. Quite a lot, more than 10 now. And number is slowly increasing. Interesting. I thought it would be the majority, but looks like it's not the majority as of now. I only see about 15 hands up, even though there are 75 of you in class. Yeah, only 15, 16. Thank you. You can lower your hands. So the other 60 of you who did not raise your hands, you are on the same page with me, right? Which means this slide, this page I'm showing you now, for example, is not a good reference. It's not a good academic reference for your assignment. I'm still showing it to you in class because it is a good place to gain ideas. It is a good place to gain keywords. One of the main problems a lot of students have today is you do not know how to find a variety of keywords when you're searching online. Yeah, you are very fixed with only a few. You're only revolving around a few words, and that is also why all of you tend to always find the same type of information to be presented back to your lecturers. Yeah. So first things first, this is not considered a very reliable reference because I will ask you a simple question. Who in the world is Hitesh Basin? Is he a renowned researcher in this area? Right? You might just end up finding out that, oh, he is actually just a writer or a blogger for this website, and that's it. Yeah? So then the question goes back into how reliable is he when he's providing you this information? All right? So please be careful with that when you are referring to blogs. I'm warning you and telling you this early enough because I know you will get into, you may end up getting into those positions and situations. But please vary get a variety of different types of resources. Am I saying that this cannot be used for assignments? I'm not saying that, right? You can use it, but use it as a supporting reference. Look at all this. You see there's so many different posts, and these are all just by randomly different people. 12 benefits of technology, leveraging technology, 14 types of business expenses. These can be a supporting reference if you want to show that there's multiple sites that are saying it. But your main reference should still go into academic related works, yeah, or more reliable write-ups, like white papers as we will call it, or there are certain publications by reliable companies. If something is being posted and published by Google or being published by Amazon on their website, then you know those kind of information are much more reliable. Yeah. For our module, Perspective in Technology, I've always seen students get into positions like that. Let's say you are looking for an alternative for your technology. Then just because you Google and you find that, oh, there's this one page, right? There's this blog, this guy is talking about this is the alternative to this technology. Yeah. Then my question back to you is that, is this a reliable information? Is this something that is really true? Then the students normally reply back to me and say, yeah, we found it on one website. An immediate response and question back to the student would be like, oh, you found it on one website. Does that show you that it is reliable? Not necessarily. Yeah, but if it is being mentioned in multiple sites, then maybe it is something you can establish that the importance is there. All right. So use these for initial research, number one. And number two is because you want to find the right keywords on what you should be looking for. Yeah. Random example, you get the word assistive technology. You are still trying to find out what examples of assistive technologies are there. Some are being highlighted here. Then based on what you find, you can then go and Google and to see if there are better resources to then refer to. Yeah. All right. Just a bit of a sidetrack there so that I know as of now, a lot of you are doing your research already, but it is just as important for you to ensure that your resources are reliable. Yeah. See, another website with 16 different types of technology. Looks good, yeah, right? Because you see, hey, there's a date here. That's really good. It shows March 2nd, 2021. But the date, honestly, is it's a separate issue. My main issue would be, is this website really reliable? When you look at the bottom and you go like, oh, it's not even showing who has written this. And all you can refer to is just, oh well, this came from TL DevTech. Again, the question is this website particularly reliable? Yeah, so make sure you have a good mix of different resources. Some comes from official resources and not just the ones that look like this and they only look like blogs. But like I said, as an initial research, these sites are really good because they give you some direction of where you want to search and move towards. All right. Next one is also another sample. I will skip this one. I just wanted to show you that, as you can see, there are many different sites that shows you the different types of technology, the different numbers. Some are higher, some are lower. You saw 8 earlier, then you see 16 different types of technology now. You are looking at 20 different types of technology now. This list will go on and on. All right. So again, all those are available to you, but these are the 6 that we are going to go through today. So first one, of course, energy and power. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but more importantly is for you to then see that as a teaser, as an introduction, because then the topic will come along in 3 to 4 weeks' time. First, quick question, as you can see here, it says, is energy different from power? Yeah, is energy different from power? So the first thing that should come to mind now is for you to think the electricity that you're using at your homes now, right? Wherever you are in your homes, this electricity that you see, is that energy or is that power? Right? Is power is the one that is being sent over to you, or is energy is the one that is being sent over to you? Right? So at a very high level, when you're trying to differentiate the two of this, I think it's important for you to try seeing how are they different. Yeah, I'm skipping this. You do not need to respond. So when you're trying to differentiate electric power and as well as energy, I think when I was searching, even if you search it, you'll find that this is one of the first few sites that will pop up. And I feel it is something that is the easiest yet the most accurate translation of it. Yeah. So you see power is watts or kilowatts on the unit on how it is being measured. Then energy is of course the unit of how it is being measured, but it is being measured in relation to time. So you see watts or kilowatts for power, but for energy, we call it watt hours or kilowatt hours. How is it different? Watts or kilowatts, as I said, is the unit of measurement, right? So basically, it's like the flow rate of the water that you see here. So the flow rate of power is basically saying the amount of electricity that's going through. Done. That is power. Energy, on the other hand, is, as you can see, is like the amount of water that ends up in the bucket, right? So in this case, as being highlighted here, you know that the measurement is against this particular bucket of how much water is in there, right? So when you reflect on these two, you should know by now that when you are utilizing electricity at home, when you receive the bill, the calculation is always against the energy. How many watt per hour did you use? How many watt hours did you use, basically overall? Yeah, so it's being calculated against energy. The amount of power that goes into your home, that is then another area, or rather a different point to be highlighted. Okay, so as you see here, again, I think you would have noticed it by now. I always like to use different infographics. I always encourage students, when you are searching for information online as well, use this technique. Find images, find infographics, just add the word infographic to whatever word you're looking for, and you'll be able to find a lot of quick visuals as such that tells you basically more about it. Yeah. So as you can see, energy is here, used to move, heat, charge, or illuminate an object, and the standard unit, as highlighted here, is kilowatt hours. Yeah. How much of that do you utilize per month is the bill that you get at the end of the month. Yeah. Power, on the other hand, is how quickly something uses or produces energy. So it's that rate, right? The rate of usage or production here is being shown. So that's why this is being measured by just the unit itself, kilowatt, for example, but not attached to time. All right, so that is a high-level difference that I think everyone should be able to then identify as of now. Yeah. So there are different forms of energy. Again, this one, again, if you remember this even from back in high school, for those of you who took science, this was something that you covered maybe most probably in physics as well. Yeah. and especially for the engineering students who are in class, this is something that is not new to you as well. But understanding the different forms of energy gives you a clear idea in terms of what technology has evolved out of it. Yeah, look at Elon Musk. Yeah, if he has zero understanding about energy and power, he wouldn't have come up with so many different types of companies that he has today. One is going into space, one is going underground, one is on the road but using electricity, right? It all revolves around energy and power. So this is one whole area to look into as well. So you see mechanical, obviously, that comes from kinetic energy and movement. You see thermal, which is also another source of energy, electrical energy, chemical, which is what most of our batteries are made of, nuclear energy, and as well as light. Yeah. So in general, you will always find these different forms of energy which are in place. So if you are looking at forms of power on the other hand, so the conversion here is then being highlighted with mechanical power, right? A lot of our transportation that we have today as well is originating from simple basic mechanical power. Electrical power on the other hand is just as important as of today. It has become the most important thing. There will not even be talks of the internet or Wi-Fi or mobile phones or any devices that are around us if it is not for electricity and electrical power. Yeah, power management systems, power distribution. So a lot of these areas are being covered as well. Not forgetting, of course, fluid power as well. There's a lot of forms of fluid power or hydro-related powers that are also being utilized with technology that we have today. So in relation to that, of course, now the idea behind it is just to ensure that you can convert all of this, right? Convert all the different forms of energy, converting all the different forms of power into devices and systems, right? Into devices and systems. I'm very sure you have seen the recent projects that has gotten a lot of attention. The recent projects of APU, with students winning competitions especially. A lot of the areas are also related to energy and power because, again, energy and power relates specifically to sustainability. Yeah. So this is an area that, of course, it is worth looking into simply because there is a lot of opportunities that can come out of it. Energy resources, the ones that we are all probably much more familiar with, are the ones which are non-renewable sources, right? We know that we are getting electricity from coal, we are getting electricity from oil and natural gas, not to forget nuclear as well, which is uranium. And of course, these are all considered non-renewable sources. Yeah. For those of you who are not aware, you will have to realize that nuclear is also considered a non-renewable resource because this is actually an element that can be found on Earth, and it is something that can be mined and they can then convert it into nuclear energy. Yeah. Renewable sources, of course, are in terms of food that we have, because this is something we can either grow, we can either keep, and so on and so forth, and farm and so on, and things like that. Unlimited sources, of course, are referring to the renewable sources, but on top of that, the unlimited renewable sources that we have in relation to energy, wind, flowing water, geothermal energy, and of course this can be expanded into other areas as well. All right, so a lot of it is as highlighted earlier, is a lot of conversion is happening, right? It's just basically one conversion to the other in order to get what we have today. We all know that coal is being used to create electricity, right? It's a simple talks about coal, right, is then being converted to electricity. But on the other hand, if you don't understand the whole process in between that happens, you may not realize that, okay, there's so many different conversions in order to get electrical power that we get at the end of it, right? So if you notice here, coal, you will burn coal, coal will create heat, heat will be used to make steam, the steam is then being pumped through a condenser, you have a boiler that sends the steam into a generator or a turbine, as we would like to call it, and the turbine spins, and then electricity is being made. Based on the dynamo here, the generator here, electricity is being made. Yeah? For us as users, it's much more simple, right? We just go back home with a flick of a switch, electricity appears in front of you. Yeah, but not knowing and understanding where does all this electricity come from is something that you should at least have an idea about. Yeah. So going further into energy and power technologies, these are examples of it. So you see areas of I'll skip the first one, but you see here energy management, energy creation, energy storage. So as of today, based on energy and power technologies alone, these areas are growing a lot. More and more homes are looking a lot into energy management. Companies have always been looking into energy management, yeah. But today, you notice even commercial homes, non-commercial residential homes are also looking into energy management, yeah. Can I see a show of hands? Anyone here who's using solar at home? In Malaysia, it may not be very popular because we don't get enough sun to utilize it. But on the other hand, I'm quite sure there are some of you who are using it, right? Anyone, even international students, I know in some countries solar is also much more popular, even like wind energy and so on and so forth. So I see Singchi and Elvis raising their hands. No one else? Everyone else does not care about the environment. Well, that includes me because I don't use solar at home as well. But anyway, thank you, Singchi. Thank you, Elvis. I thought I would have gotten a bit more people putting up their hands to show that it's a bit more common today, but looks like it's a no. But a lot of these areas has to do with, of course, you see these two parts here. If you're using solar at home, it has a lot to do with creating energy, and then, of course, converting it into energy that you can store, yeah, and then utilizing it when you need to. Otherwise, of course, it's just a direct translation, a conversion of it creates energy, then you are using it for certain appliances. Yeah. Energy management, of course, then takes it a step further to look at everything, to look at everything overall as part of an ecosystem, or to look at everything as part of a way that you can handle things. Yeah. Pure hydrogen fuel cells. So this is, of course, looking at a much more efficient way of how energy can be stored. So you see there's something called hydrogen fuel cells today as well, right? So speaking about something like battery technologies, battery affects everyone. Nowadays, when you buy a phone, when you buy a new device, especially if it's wireless, right? Especially if you buy a wireless device, this is the main thing you're concerned about. What are you concerned about? Operating hours. How long does a battery last? Yeah. So there is a whole area that goes into batteries, that goes into understanding what type of batteries to be used, what materials should batteries use in order to then deliver a certain performance to the devices. Yeah. Sure. So just to share with you this, the future of battery technology as being highlighted here. Yeah. So lithium ion, of course, has been one of the leading types of batteries that we have today, right? We were all on nickel before lithium came along, where you see much more bigger, bulkier batteries that can deliver only to a certain extent of amount of power and energy. But today you have noticed it's a bit different. So you see lithium ion is here. I just mentioned nickel earlier, right? Nickel, there's also nickel cadmium that's highlighted here. This is even earlier when you see a lot of batteries were based on lead acid. Yeah. So there is a change a lot, but of course now moving forward, lithium ion has been around for quite some time. This is the exact same technology that is even powering electric cars that we see today. Yeah. But of course now there is a lot of discussions on what can be improved further. Yeah, what can be improved further when it comes to things like battery. Yeah. As you can see, there is one of the improvements here is being called a solid state battery. Why does solid state sound so familiar? You will also realize there are solid state hard disks, solid state hard drives today as well. Yeah, and of course, in short, in a very short picture explanation here, this is mainly how it's different. Yeah, so rather than just having a standard electrolyte solution, and that's why if you use batteries long enough, you always notice that liquid or water can leak out of it because that is where the electrolyte solution comes from. Now you change it to an all solid state battery. So you realize it can be much more improved. in terms of its performance, in terms of how long does it last, because now it's not based on a solution or liquid, it is based on something solid instead. Yeah, so the simple change alone, as you see, easy to understand, you understand what has changed here, and yet in terms of what it can do, has so much more, is so much more different now. And this is where they are identifying that it will probably be where how lithium ion can be improved. Yeah, of course, this is just one of the many solutions being highlighted here. I just wanted to share that with you so that you can at least gain some ideas out of looking at energy and power technologies. Yeah, some of you may look at it and think that, oh my God, this is so physics, this is something that is so engineering, but at least with that introduction of you to energy and power technology, it breaks your understanding towards, there is a lot of areas that can be important enough for you to evaluate, right? And in whatever areas that you are in, some of you here in class are in business, in finance, in computing technology and so on and so forth, but it does relate to all this at the end of the day. Yeah? With that, we have covered the first point, which is energy and power technology. We now move on to medical technology, and there's a few areas here which I think will definitely interest you as well to a certain extent. So obviously, medical technology then translate into either products or services or solutions that is obviously health related. Medical technologies that are with you all the time. So can you think about that? Whether they are always with you, certain aspects of it that is being considered here. So there are different functionalities that are being highlighted here. Medical technologies are always concerned with these 5 areas that you see here. Yeah. Number one, of course, in order to even avoid everything from happening to begin with, prevention. So medical technologies have a lot of research going into how you can prevent something from happening first. Yeah. And you can easily identify a lot of different examples there. Preventing a disease, preventing an injury or any conditions, even looking into early detection tools. Yeah, identifying certain symptoms early enough for you to know what's going to happen. Triggers, as they call it. Diagnosis, right? To improve diagnosis, how can you easily diagnose and to find out what does someone have in terms of a medical condition, right? So this can be even going down into identifying conditions, identifying developments, and treatment selections. All this is a better understanding with medical technologies. It's for a better understanding of patients. Not forgetting, medical technologies also is very concerned with monitoring. How are you able to monitor in terms of your own vitals, your own body's performance, as I would like to call it as well? Yeah. How many of you here in class knows that you sleep very well at night? How many of you here knows that you sleep very well at night? A show of hands, please. How many of you know that you sleep very well at night? Nobody? Is that no one at all? All right, so I see the first one off the top. Tina, can I just ask you quickly, how do you know you sleep well at night? Messages aren't even going through. Oh, what happened? Interestingly, maybe for some of you again. So Jamil, I think, yeah, maybe internet is on your end, which is an issue. Okay, Bakar looks like he's responding to my question. So Bakar says, sadly not me. So you know you're not sleeping well. At least you still know it. That's important. I'm quite sure there are some of you in class now thinking, yeah, do I sleep well at night? That's a question that you don't even know. Tina says, I get up energized. So that's how you know you sleep well at night. All right. Bakar, how do you know you don't sleep well? On the other hand. Isn't it much easier for you guys to just respond to me through your mics? I guess Bakar is typing up a message. I shall leave that aside.
Hello, sir.
Yeah? Yes. So how do you know you're not sleeping well at night?
Well, because I don't actually sleep at night.
You got what, sorry?
Classes for me No, I'm not in Malaysia, so most of my classes are at night, so I don't get night
Okay,
sleep.
all right. I would love
Yeah.
to have classes at night. I am envious of you. Anyway, um, Samuel says, I sleep well when the night is cooling and when my nose isn't blocked. Samuel is just listing one of the so many things that is bothering him from sleeping. Okay, so Tina highlighted a very simple point just to say that when she gets up, she feels energized. But how many of you in class can say that for yourself? Yeah. And what I want to relate this to is to relate this towards monitoring. How can medical technologies help to monitor something as simple as that for you? Yeah. For me, I know that my watch can basically tell me how well did I sleep last night, because they use about 5 different things that they measure in terms of my movement when I'm sleeping, in terms of my breathing when I'm sleeping, in terms of my heart rate and pulse rate when I'm sleeping. So they use a lot of those information together and to see how many times if I do wake up at night and things like that, and to give me a report in the morning to tell me that your sleep last night is rated as this much, this is considered normal, or this is considered poor sleep, and things like that, right? So you'll definitely have heard of things like that as well. So Crit says, I use a watch to track my sleep. Yeah, correct. So that's becoming more and more common today. But my question to you is always, well, how is that helping you? If it's just to tell you every day that, oh, okay, my sleep is very poor today, yay, moving on. Right? So if it's just knowing it and not doing anything about it, that is still another thing. Yeah? Treatments. Help patients overcome injuries and diseases or even treating chronic illnesses. Yeah? So aspects of treatment, to be honest, I would say there is the most work being done here. Under medical technologies, when it comes to treatment, the most amount of work goes into treatment. Yeah, of course, there's a lot of investments going into these other areas as well, but treatment is definitely one of the highest, because that is as and when you are experiencing the issues now and you will want to solve them through treatment. Yeah, care, of course, this is taking it over to post care areas and post-care services as well. Yeah, found across the whole care pathway, it accelerates recovery and of course keeps people healthy, and maintains and to continue keeping them healthy. Yeah. So there are different types of medical technologies here. Just identifying some examples here for you. Artificial heart, as Saan is saying, artificial heart also being developed. It also comes in technology. Everything can be artificial. That's one good point there by Saad. I'm highlighting it here as well. Artificial organs. There is nothing. There is almost every single part of your body can be an artificial organ today. Yeah. All right. Almost, basically. So smart inhalers. So this is widely available. Yeah, for those of you who has asthma, for example, or maybe you had asthma before, you may or may have not been aware of this. So there's a smart inhaler which helps you to monitor and to gives you better analytics of how you're doing. Robotic surgery, this has been around for a long time now, mainly because it was supported by remote surgery. Yeah, that it's not possible to get a surgeon to travel across the country to do the surgery instead. So they want to make sure that they are able to do it remotely, and that has supported robotic surgery a lot. Yeah, wireless brain sensors. So this is not something that is necessarily, as you will see, it is something that must be attached with a few, almost like 50 to 100 different wires attached to your head, just to then identify your brain sensors. But now you can also have wireless brain sensors as well. Yeah. So what is this mainly for? As you can see, it will aid doctors in measuring the temperature and pressure within the brain without necessarily going through an MRI scan or a CT scan and so on. Yeah. 3D printing now has also spearheaded a lot in relation to creating all these implants, to creating all these different joints and body parts as well in relation to it. Yeah, because of its material, because of how flexible it is, and to create one is something that is easily done. All right. PCR, as Muhammad Bakar are mentioning, button batteries in heart pacemakers. Yeah. Um, Tina says, interesting point. So Tina is trying to say, I think the diagnosis takes the biggest part. So Tina was talking about this. Sorry that I've only seen your message here now. So Tina, as I was highlighting earlier, there's a lot of work going into treatment, right? But as mentioned by Tina, the diagnosis part is the one that she feels is basically the highest, right? Now, for me, if I were to rank it, I would say diagnosis comes next as well. And obviously, in terms of prevention, comes into the picture then, because there's so many prevention efforts and methods today. But diagnosis as well, because then to help and to assist in identifying what is exactly wrong with a person, what is the complication there is with the patient, comes under diagnosis. All right. Okay, talking about wireless brain sensors, I just wanted to share about what, as I'm not sure again, I think there's a lot of Elon Musk fans around the world that always talks about the things that he's going through. So this is also another area of his company, all right, and it's called Neuralink. You can go and check out the website. One of the main areas that he is also doing is to try sensing the brain, identifying certain trends and patterns, and even being able to receive instructions from the brain mainly. Yeah, so as you can see, there are three main parts that he has looked into. What is the science behind what is he trying to do? What is their approach when they try identifying and translating what the brain is doing? Yeah, and what applications is coming out of it. All right, so you can actually check it out if you're interested in it, in what Neuralink is all about. So medical technologies, another few examples being provided here. Health wearables, I was just highlighting about wearables and smartwatches, for example, or fitness trackers. Precision medicine is becoming very popular now as well, because they want to look into identifying what kind of, how can you be very specific and to customize further how a treatment can happen. Yeah, so as you can see here, it says, it allows physicians to select medicines and therapies to treat diseases such as cancer, based on, this is how customized they can go to, based on individuals' genetic makeup. Yeah, so this is one area of treatment, obviously. VR as well, across simulation in terms of for medical students, this is where it's highly being used. Telehealth. So telehealth and telemedicine is very popular today simply because of remote monitoring of patients. Yeah, and you can get live updates and so on and so forth, and that becomes much more easier because this avoids the whole issue that everyone is always very scared of, which is what? Which is to wait and to go through appointments, to wait for your turn to see the doctor, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Something that has been around for a few years now, but there are the latest, I will use the word scandal when it comes to CRISPR being highlighted here in relation to advanced gene editing technology, is to then make what we call perfect humans. Yeah, to make perfect humans because it is genetically modified in order to avoid you from having certain key issues that normally affects human beings. Okay. So those are again a few more examples in relation to medical technologies. So just to share, of course, as highlighted there, oh, it says lost connection. I wonder. If you guys can't see the slide, please do let me know, yeah? So this is just a quick website to share to you about fitness trackers. I wanted to share this with you because I think it's important for you to see to what extent these fitness trackers and what can they do today, right? So as you can see, it comes with a heart rate tracker. There's activity tracking as well. A lot of them comes with GPS today as well. And there's a lot of different flexibility across in terms of what they can do. Yeah, and there are a lot related to fitness, related to health at the end of the day. As you can see, there's a lot of sleep tracking available now. Even for something as simple as sleep tracking, it has also been, it has basically also been getting even more accurate, and more detail of it as well. For example, I'm not sure how many of you know as well, prior to this with COVID, there is a whole issue of measuring your level of oxygen. Yeah. So for example, even a simple, I'm not sure if you can see it, but even as simple as my own device here is able to do something similar to that, and it's just to basically monitor and to identify what is the level of your of oxygen for for you as well. So again, something which is as simple as just having a smartwatch or having a fitness tracker, but it is able to do all of that for you. Accuracy aside, right? It does give you a range of a result, but again, compared to you going over to the hospital, going to see a doctor just to get all these readings, it can become something quite complex. Yeah. So precision medicine. So just to highlight a bit more on how customized and personalized precision medicine can be. Number one, it has a bit of focus on genetics. So understanding your genetics can make a huge difference. I'm speaking about this based on an experience from my friend. Yeah. My friend has always had, let's just categorize it as, my friend always had tummy issues. Yeah, she has always had tummy issues. There's a lot of food that she cannot take. But this is based on experience. She had something, and normally if there is a negative aftermath, she will just start avoiding those food. Yeah, but she has never really found out what is causing all this irritation for her. Yeah, her digestive system and so on and so forth. Until she went for a genetics test to then find out exactly what she was allergic to. Yeah, and then she ended up finding out that she was allergic to gluten. Yeah, for most of you who probably do not know what gluten is, go and find out, go and Google on your own. That's why today you find a lot of food that says it is gluten free. Yeah, I'm one of those people who probably has never, who was, to be honest, lucky enough to not need to identify food as such, whether it's gluten or not gluten free. I've always eaten any of those things and it hasn't been an issue. But again, precision medicine has allowed for people to identify exactly what is not good for them, what is good for them, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And of course, immunotherapy as well, whereby you are basically trying to treat the immune system of a person. And of course, looking at targeted therapies as well. Yeah, whereby drugs which are administered into the body does exactly what they're supposed to do. Because otherwise, as we will know, drugs has a lot of different side effects. While trying to reach the objective that you want to, there's a lot of side effects that comes with it, right? Just like for cancer, for example, as you will hear about radiotherapy or chemotherapy, in order to, of course, kill the cells, cancer cells, there's a lot of other side effects that comes along with it. Yeah. But today with precision medicine, there's a lot of attention going into ensuring something like that is easily done. So just a few websites for you to then see in terms of different examples. Telemedicine, telehealth is also here. This was the area of CRISPR that I was talking about earlier, right? Genetically modifying genes so that you can have things like that. Look at that. High IQ, perfect vision, no inherited diseases, naturally come with athletic skills because you are built for it, low risk of Alzheimer's and stroke. Yeah, so this is already around. It is in practice. It is, depending on countries, legal, ethical or not. This is another question. Yeah, but it's basically considered a legal process to be taken through in order to replace and to genetically modify yourself. Yeah, I'm skipping this question because I realized I wanted to give you a quick break before we continue with the next one. Right. Another website for you to look at in terms of CRISPR babies have already existed today, which basically means their genes are quite perfect. As you saw just now, high IQ, doing very well, very, very low chances and opportunities of having a disease, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Jamil says, how far are these watches accurate? So Jamil, for me, it really depends on what you're using it for. For the oxygen intake, I can only, it is a bit off for me. I've known people who use it and to say that it is quite accurate. If you, there is of course a controlled situation that you need to be in. For example, the position that you are in and so on and so forth. Yeah. Jamil said IHJ. Okay, I'm not sure what's that. But anyway, let's go for a quick break and we'll come back. 10 minutes, do whatever you need. Oh no, this got refreshed again. I will just put up a timer and see you guys in 10. Yeah? Okay. All right. So, okay. I'm not sure if I'm getting the slang right. Very much grave vibes. Is that a compliment or is that not a compliment? Just right before the break, I think I saw Jamil saying, I have an Apple Watch and I've always doubted the heart rate it gives. Um, you will have to compare that to something, yeah, Jamil. I used to compare my watch to basically this. I got one online as well, not necessarily the most expensive one. But when I tried this oximeter and I compared it to my own smartwatch, it was actually quite accurate in terms of the readings that it will give me in terms of my heart rate and so on and so forth. Yeah. So anyway, so it will depend on how you want to measure that and to know whether it's accurate or not. All right, back to this. And it looks like it is reloading. I thought my internet connection would be better later in the evening, considering there's lesser people around. Oh my. Okay, all right. Do mention in the chat whether you are able to see me and to hear me and to see the shared screen, just in case. All right, awesome. I see a few of you raising your hands. Allah mentioned yes. All right, thank you. You can lower your hands. All right, next part. We are a bit more than halfway now. I'm hoping to finish everything before it is 6:30. So construction technology. So this is the other area we want to go into because again, this is something that has revolutionized a lot of countries. It's revolutionized a lot of cities in the world today, and they all go back into the aspects of construction technology, right? As highlighted here, a few keywords just to get you to focus on: tools, machinery, modifications, and even software. Yeah, they are now being paired together and to be used within construction. And of course, a lot of them utilizes semi-automated and even automated construction equipments. So the technology has definitely enabled a lot of these processes. Yeah. Examples being shown here. I think most of them you've been hearing about as of now. Mobile technology, drones, 3D printing, AI, maybe self-healing concrete you have not heard of. I'm going to show that to you right after this. Building information monitoring. Yeah. So there's a lot of aspects of construction technology now that has expanded towards how the structure is doing. Is it safe in relation to safety and security? There's aspects of AR being used as well, mainly for when you are simulating a location or area. Yeah, construction software, data ecosystem, modular construction as well. So I'm just going to show you quickly in terms of some of the examples that's being highlighted here. So this is an infographic of self-healing concretes. Yeah, so you see a concrete crack, then there is a leakage and corrosion that's causing leaking and so on and so forth, because you see this is where the crack has happened. But with autonomous repair, with self-healing concrete, as you can see, there is a usage of microorganisms. And in this case here, bacteria are being used. What happens is when in contact with water, the bacteria will multiply and starts to produce limestone, which is basically a material that is able to fill up the crack. And as a result, the cracks are then sealed as if it wasn't cracked to begin with. Yeah, so usage of that as part of construction technology. The next example you saw was modular construction. Malaysia has gone into this for several years now as well, whereby if you can see, the building is now being constructed based on preset and prefixed items. So you can basically imagine that this is like a Lego version of the actual construction. All of these containers that you see here, they are all prefabricated, they're all pre-made, and you are just supposed to stack them up and rather than you're building, making the conventional way of doing things is you build the foundation, you build the structure, then you start building walls, then you start building layers of layers and so on and so forth, right? So in this case, you notice it is modular, whereby you are just stacking all of these as what we call in terms of rooms or offices or areas to be done for a particular building. Yeah. So a quick statement here to highlight, as you can see, how construction technology has drastically improved all these areas and aspects: productivity, safety, training, and of course, more importantly, addressing the labor shortage ordeal when it comes to construction. Yeah. So one of the areas that is being emphasized a lot of in relation to that. So you see productivity, of course, you are even improving productivity through off-site construction, whereby you saw modular just now. You pre-build all of this already, right? You have pre-built them with a certain dimension, whereby when it comes to you construction, you are just putting them out like Lego pieces. Yeah. Safety and training. So you see VR being used here for simulation. AR is being used here in terms of ensuring that when there are certain environments that you're working in, what will it be like on how to operate those devices and machineries as well. Yeah. So I see something in the chat. Saad says, I'm rejoining the meeting. I can't see your screen sharing. All right. Okay. Yeah. So if anyone else can't see it, please do let me know. Or whether this is just a secluded issue with only one student. Sardar's hand is still raised. I'm just checking in case you do have a question. So the last point here is about labor shortages, right? So evidently, by utilizing robots, by utilizing autonomous machineries, you can reduce the amount of the resources and the manpower that you need. Yeah. After seeing that, Sardar's hand is still raised. Do you have a question, Sardar? So it looks like Sardar is probably not here, or am I the only one who is seeing that his hand is raised? That might be possible as well. All right, so as part of manufacturing technology, conversion of materials, right? As you can see, as part of even like things like modular construction that you saw earlier, there's a lot of aspects that you're trying to convert all these raw materials into industrial and consumer products, right? So essentially, manufacturing is just doing that, is converting and basically transforming what is from raw materials into a product that a user or a consumer can basically utilize, all right? Provides the tools that enable manufacturing overall. So as I've highlighted to all of you, you will definitely remember me saying that I work for Mattel, right? And Mattel, as their motto and tagline goes, they consider themselves a world-class manufacturer, a toy manufacturer, right? And the first three things we're looking at here is different types of production systems, all right? There is low, there is medium, and there is high. So low production systems are looking at products which have high customization, which means they only produce about 1 to 100 units per year, right? In opposite, in the exact opposite, if you go to high, this is mass manufacturing, whereby there is very, very low customization. When there is low customization, you actually produce these in very, very high numbers. Yeah, 10,000s to even millions of units per year. In Mattel, when we were manufacturing toys, we were easily under a high production system, which is mass production. All right. In the middle is where you will find evidently is the middle number between high customization and low customization. So you see, it's called in batch production, basically. Yeah. Quantity of each batch may vary. Minimal alteration for design across batches. You can build between 100 to 10,000 units per year. So you see, anything from 0 to 100 is here, 100 to 10,000 is here, anything above 10,000 is then falling under this. All right. Can you identify anything, any product that is utilizing high customization? They only probably build between 1 to 100 units per year. Share your answer in the chat. I think I forgot to activate this earlier. But again, my head might be blocking some parts of the slide. All right, I may be seeing some. I saw one person in the chat. Bakar says paintings. Oh wow. But are paintings done with technology? Yeah, I think I can consider that as well. All right, fine, possible. Any other examples? Yep, correct, Wei Huan. High fashion luxury is considered low production system or job shop. I see Hassan says some cars. To be specific, Elvis mentions luxury cars. Exactly, you're right. Rolls Royce, limited edition stuff. Correct, by Cheng Hao as well. Yeah, so you get the idea, right? It has very high customization. You don't create that many units per year. When you go into high or mass customization, you can name almost anything of our day-to-day product. Yeah, food, stationery, furniture. A lot of these are all in high customization. Sorry, in low customization, but the numbers are very, very high. What are examples of batches? The number one example I always like to go to is cars. Cars are always produced by batches, right? Even though, yes, overall they have a very high number in terms of in terms of the number that's being produced overall, but cars are normally produced by batches, right? Because they need to control in the sense that there's a lot of quality assurance and quality control process going in. So they normally create things by batches as well. Yeah. Custom made stuff, Bugatti, yes, by Aoyang. All right, okay. So when you place them and you try understanding across how many variety and quantity, you will find that this is how they're being placed. High sits here because it's very high quantity, but the variety is lower. Low sits here because the quantity are much more lower, but the amount of variety is much more higher. Okay, so that is just to put it into a picture here for you to then identify it as at least to visually look at it mainly. I'm skipping the three examples, the three questions because they're just asking for examples. Now, so when it comes to manufacturing technologies on its own, you see a few examples here. You see computer-aided design, whereby you are designing and you are creating the measurements and dimensions on your computer first. And then you have computer-aided manufacturing. So in this case, this is the intermediary between your computer's design and also the actual manufacturing machine. When you go into CNC, computer numerical control, that is basically where the manufacturing machine sits. Yeah. So first you create the design using CAD, you come up with the design, you come up with the measurements and dimensions and so on and so forth. And then you have the manufacturing machine, which is then called computer numerical control. And of course, something in between is where CAM sits in, and CAM is basically being the agent here in between to understand what the design says and to then inform the machine on what to do, on what to create and what to manufacture and produce. Yeah, so that's the main thing you need to know about the softwares. Of course, material removal, there's a lot of different terminologies being used here. They are not too important for you to understand each and every one of them. But what you mainly have to understand is that whenever in manufacturing technologies are involved, they always utilize a lot of these processes. Turning, milling, drilling, grinding, tapping. There's at least half of these processes I also went through when we were just manufacturing something as simple as toy cars. But we do a lot of these processes as well. All right. Material forming, on the other hand, stamping, bending, joining, hydroforming, pressing, shearing. So a lot of these processes are also involved in putting things together. That's why you see one is called material removal and the other one is called material forming. All right. Additive process, obviously, then you have laser printing, laser sintering, 3D printing, and even a process called rapid prototyping equipment, whereby you are creating and you're trying to build prototypes as you go. Oops. All right, so this is just putting it into four main categories in terms of what you saw earlier. One part here I just want you to pay a bit more attention on is looking at these terms here, flexible manufacturing systems. A lot of factories use this today. Yeah, I'll just use a simple example. All your branded stuff like Adidas or Nike. Let's just talk about shoes or even sporting equipments. Yeah, they use what we call flexible manufacturing systems, whereby when they are creating it, there are different lines in a manufacturing production line. Yeah, even though there are different lines, but the combination of these lines will then get you to create different products. Yeah. Probably I should have used a phone instead of the branded sporting equipments. I'll just talk about a phone, for example. Yeah. The dimensions of certain phones. I will use Apple because then they're more popular and everyone knows about them. Every year, you see Apple introduces a new model that they are releasing. You will always tend to see a pattern from what their manufacturing production lines were doing. Meaning, you will always see the dimensions are quite standard, even though there is iPhone 13 Pro, iPhone 13 Pro Max, iPhone 13 alone, and so on and so forth. You will always notice that there are similarity in terms of how they manufacture their products. Dimensions might be standard, the cameras, certain aspects might be standard, because then they do not want to make too much changes in their manufacturing line just to create basically a different model. Yeah, they just want to make certain adjustments, taking out certain parts, reducing one camera, but the other dimensions is quite similar, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so that is something that is quite commonly used in manufacturing companies today. So a simple example of how cars are being manufactured, you see stamping, welding, painting, assembly, inspection happens. A lot of these other components are all created in a different process. They're all being brought together into assembly. Of course, then it will go through quality control inspections, and you have a final product here. So what this image is supposed to tell you is that there's a lot of different processes that then contributes towards one particular product. And again, it's just to show you where all the different technologies basically sit on. All right. Next one is transportation technology. So as we all know, is basically by definition to move something from point A to point B, right? But while doing this, what has caused transportation technology to improve a lot is because of efficiency and also in relation to ease and safety as well. The ease of traveling and the ease of transportation as well. So more importantly, of course, as you see here, giving you a few examples. Can I know how many of you have heard of Hyperloops? Earlier, Samuel mentioned Food Loops. There is something else. This is talking about Hyperloops. Anyone has heard of this technology before? Can you please raise your hands? Just want to see whether you are a bit familiar with what's going on. Sardar's hand is still up. Is it just me or? Okay, it's not just me, because now I see Saad's hand is raised as well. And Saad has just lowered his hand. And now Dinesh's hand is raised. Anyway, it looks like most of you have not heard of it. We will look at Hyperloops after this. You have definitely heard about them. You have heard of all these extremely fast trains over in Europe in terms of how they travel from one location to another. Underground tunneling has become also very popular as a type of transportation technology. We'll look at Elon Musk's company after this. And of course, aspects of aerospace. So these are the more recent types of transportation technology that has gained a lot of interest, that has gained a lot of grounds in terms of what technologies basically supports them. Yeah. Sardar, your hand is still raised. I'm just going to lower it because I'm tired of looking for you and asking where you are. And I will just put into the chat here to say that Sardar is missing. So Vivin says fastest train. Aoyang said never heard of it. Bakar said, yep, exactly, the Boring Company. For those of you who knows at least. I'm just going to put here Sardar is missing. IA. All right, so an example of Hyperloop is shown to you on the slide now, right? So what does it basically use? I think by looking at it, you understand that there's a combination of several technologies. It uses a vacuum tube. So because now you know if what it is traveling in is almost considered a vacuum, then there is almost zero resistance to the vehicle itself. It utilizes a compressor. Of course, there's air bearings as well. There is also aspects of magnets being used, or the term that is always being utilized is maglev, M-A-G-L-E-V, magnetic levitation. But here, of course, they use the term a magnetic river, right? So you realize that the train is basically not even touching the rails, right? Because it's using magnetic levitation to then change the poles from positive and negative to basically get it to propel forward. Yeah. At this point, that is basically all you need to know when it comes to hyperloops. Yeah. Sir, I am concentrating. Okay, all right. Finally, after I've mentioned that I've tagged there to say that you are missing, then you decide to respond. All right, at least to know you are here. Okay, so this is one sample of a Hyperloop. This was a project by Virgin, right? The whole big Virgin group, if you know Richard Branson and so on and so forth. So they are also creating their own solution of a Hyperloop. By looking at the site, I think you will get a very clear idea in terms of what they do. It is traveling at a very crazy speed overall, all right? So as you can see, it uses magnetic levitation to basically move. So there's a lot of those aspects, and I think sites like this is the one that easily gets you to be quite interested as well, because there's quite an amount of interactivity for you to look at. So I'm just sharing that with you so that you can look at that site. The other one is definitely, I think someone has just highlighted earlier about the Boring Company. So this belongs again, another project by Elon Musk, essentially building tunnels underground. Yeah, a few cities in the US have been identified where it's going to fully, transportation underground is going to be fully connected between those few cities that has been identified. Yeah. Of course, the one thing that not everyone is fully aware of is in terms of what types of vehicles that will be allowed to travel within the tunnels. Evidently, of course, they are only identifying electric cars, they are only identifying certain vehicles that will be able to utilize these underground tunnels. All right. Quite revolutionary, I would definitely say, because rather than always trying to go to the sky and utilizing the skies to travel, why not go underground, right? There's still a lot of space underground as well. So in the area of aerospace, I think this has definitely gotten enough media coverage recently as well when it comes to SpaceX, but I think it's also just as important to identify a lot of these areas. There are many different reasons on why aerospace technology has basically become very, very popular, right? All of their missions, or most of their missions had different purposes on what they intended to do. Some even comes right down towards something, a simple term like even space tourism as well. Yeah. Oh, I thought this would be opening. So I just wanted to feature, of course, we always talk about all these companies and they're in the US and so on and so forth and this and that. I wanted to feature something that Malaysia has as well. So this is by the City Council of Kuala Lumpur, right? In short form in Malay, it's called DBKL. So they have a particular unit that is called the Integrated Transportation Information System. Yeah, they are called ITIS. Most of their technologies under ITIS within this particular city of Kuala Lumpur is concentrated on two things. A few things, sorry. CCTV images. So a lot of the CCTVs you notice now in the roads around in Kuala Lumpur is actually handled by ITIS. Journey planners as well. They are trying to come up with a solution that allows you to clearly plan your journey so that you can avoid, especially during holidays and festive seasons, it can be quite bad with the traffic conditions here in KL. Traffic light monitoring as well. A lot of the smart traffic light efforts were by this particular unit in KL. And of course, in relation to, more importantly, is emergency responses. Much more effective and essential emergency responses. Yeah. So for those of you who are interested, you can definitely follow them on Twitter as well. They provide a lot of updates on a day-to-day basis to just identify, rather than this is something you hear through a radio, this is something that they are feeding and based on the CCTVs that they have basically placed all around in the city. All right, so it's just to feature that a bit. Okay, so there's also aspects of obviously autonomous vehicles, which are self-driving, and electric vehicles. Again, these are nothing new. They have been around. But this is one terminology you need to be aware of. It's called the last mile robots. So these other vehicles, left and right, electric and also autonomous vehicles, their concentration is to transport people, right? But last mile robots are more concerned about transporting packages or products from point A to point B, right? In a manufacturing plant, for example, you will need to realize that this task alone takes up a lot of effort, takes up a lot of manpower. Just to move something from point A to point B within a manufacturing plant can actually take a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money, and so on and so forth. Yeah? So that's why there are certain things called last mile robots. So I've given a link for you to check out 10 different autonomous robots for last mile deliveries. So you will notice that when it comes to their shape and what do they actually do, the focus obviously is for products, right? Delivering packages and things like that. So some are even out, are not just within a manufacturing plant anymore. Some are actually out and running proper deliveries within a particular area. Yeah. So even Amazon has hopped onto the same bandwagon as well to create their own last mile delivery product. Obviously, in terms of distance, in terms of how far it can go, it is to a lot of extent limited per se, but still within that radius of how far it can go, it still does a lot. Yeah. So this is Tesla's website. I don't think I need to really emphasize on that. All of you know in terms of how they work, and they are essentially cars that run on batteries, and I think that is all at this point of what you need to know. All right. So a good question to transport not to transport. A good question to think about and to reflect on is how transportation technology will change everything and almost anything that we know of. And based on transportation alone, you suddenly realize a lot of different businesses are also changing due to that. All right. Last but not least for today is going into ICT. Right. This is the last and the sixth area or type of technology that we're covering today. So when it comes to ICT, I think the next slide is something that gives you a clearer idea. Because of how large of an area when it comes to information and communication technology, there's of course a few key areas that is normally being focused upon. Cloud, ever since an email was created, cloud computing has expanded a lot in terms of what is able to sit on the cloud now, right? There's so many different services that is basically on the cloud now. You can get access to a whole solution or a business technological solution, everything that sits on the cloud today. Obviously, software and hardware is reflected and is focused a lot on when it comes to ICT. And then, of course, there's transactions, especially for businesses, this is important, and data, right? As you would heard of data analytics nowadays, or big data and things like that, and obviously going into the internet and internet access as well. So I wanted to share this picture with you because I feel it is very relevant today when it comes to ICT. As you can see, everything is becoming smart today. Yeah, everything. And when I say everything, a lot of things around us are always being featured as something smart. So this image here, as you will see, smart glasses, smart bracelets, smart fingers, smart rings, smart belt, smart pants, smart socks, smart shoes, smart watch, smart shirt. Everything can be divided down, and you can actually imagine how many different types that can be smart today. And these are all obviously a direct result of ICT applications. Yeah, I just want you to think about this for a while. Can you imagine what their functionalities are? You see here, oh wow, smart belt. I wonder what a smart belt do. Smart socks. What do you think a smart socks can actually do? What do you think a smart shoe can do? What do you think a smart pants can do? A smart ring can do, and so on and so forth. Of course, there's a small image here of an envelope or an email, for example. But yeah, there's so many possibilities of their function when you think about it. This other whole picture here is then focusing into this particular space of technology that is becoming very popular in the world today, which is smart home technologies. Yeah, smart home technologies. And that's why you notice more and more companies are investing into this area. The bigger players, definitely Google and Amazon sits right in the middle with their assistant technologies. But there's a lot of other companies around the whole ecosystem that then connects to this mainly as well. Yeah. Saad is saying, oh, okay, I didn't see that chat from Sadar that says not feeling well today, having the worst kind of headache. All right, understood. Saad is saying smart human being. Yeah, that's the only issue. Everything else is smart, but not the human being. Tina says electricity bills left the chat. Oh, you'll be surprised, Tina. I am also building my own solution for a smart home, and I'm not sure if it's a surprise to you, but interestingly, it is an area that also helps you with energy management. That also helps with power management within the home. Yeah. All right, one question that I would definitely stop for before we finish the last few slides. What devices do you wish were smart? Maybe I should have changed the word devices. Even non-technological devices around you. Yeah. The last time I remember when I asked this question, a student said, "Oh, I wish my coffee mug was smart." Yeah. So I will even accept that. Think about it and try identifying what devices and what items or appliances around you that you wish it was smart. Do explain a bit, maybe just a quick function of what it does. So Wei Huan said, let human becomes lazy. It's not let human, it's encouraging humans to become lazy. Okay, I see 13 responses already in. Myself. Okay, I don't have the sound effect. I want that sound effect now. Right? So Zian wishes that she is smart. Interestingly. Oh, sorry, did I use, I forgot now whether it's Zian a she or a he. But anyway, Zian hopes that oneself or a person can be smart. Vivian is saying money can be smart. Oh, it's things like that. That's why I put an extra word here to say explain, yeah? Aiden is on the same page with Zian. Kai Feng is saying fan. I thought fans are already smart today. Don't you think there's something more that can come along? Oh my God. You guys are all on the same page. Do you refer to the same types of jokes? Lip Hao, Aiden, and also Zian. Me, myself, and I. Jun Yu. Oh wow, interesting. Nail cutters. Why do you need nail cutters to be smart? Excel says pencil. Ruth says my brain. I will consider you together with all these other group of people who says me, myself, and I. Obviously shoes, tie up by themselves. Something that always cook for me at any time and anywhere. El Alam, that is called your better half, your partner in your life. Eyeglasses, Jiawen, can quickly capture something. Ooh, interestingly, this reminds me of that Netflix series called Black Mirror. Houses, cars, kitchen that can make food on their own, chair, move anywhere at any time. Wow, Cheng Hao, you don't even need a car anymore, right? Your chair is your car. Controller. Okay, I'm just imagine that HonKit actually wants a remote control that controls everything around him, right? Someone is talking too loud, lower volume, mute. Door, smart door. Interesting point as well. Smart water bottle. Yep, Johnson. Smart printer. I wish the shower is smart so it can shower me. Isn't the shower showering you currently? What else is it doing? My blanket. I wish it could cool my feet without leaving them exposed. Interesting. I'm one of those people as well. But the blanket fully covers me, but my feet is outside. USBs, like they should detect when your phone is full while you sleep. USB should oh, okay, all right. Aaron, by the way, most phones that we have today, phones as recent as maybe from 2 years ago already has that. It still shows you it's charging, but sometimes it's just indicating that to you, but it has basically cut off the energy. Cabinet, smart fridge, everything. Oh, thank you so much for such a general answer, Wei Wan. Me, table, my brain, headphones, smart gloves. I want to be dumb. All right, good for you, Seng Fong. Zen E says me, car, smart fridge, smart pens, Wi-Fi based television, smart keys, body scale. That's an interesting one by Ayame. But I think there are smart body scales today already. I think Xiaomi first came up with it, and they're quite popular with it. So you just stand on top of it. It tells you more than just your weight. Yeah, it can tell you a lot of other things. Football boots, smart football boots. Need to track if it's still usable, track how many studs are left. Wow, might as well the football boots play football for you as well, right? the toilet, because who wants to move? I cannot imagine myself sitting in the toilet and then having all my devices around me, because I'm just going to freak out that something is just going to drop in there. Printer, house, water bottle, the cooker, guns. Okay, Rick, you suddenly went very dark here. Organizer, stove, door. My family members won't close my room's door properly. That's a very, very valid issue to be highlighted there. Again, someone with self-tying issues towards the end here. All right, awesome. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for responding. Oh my, it's already 6:30. Um, let's see. I only have a few more slides left. So please bear with me. I only got a few more slides to go. We'll finish this, and then towards the end is just emerging technologies and some infographics to share with you. Yeah. All right, so the significance of ICT is undeniable. There's a lot of key aspects here. Oh my goodness, what happened? There's a lot of key aspects here that are being shown. Yeah, I wanted to go to the next slide. So the significance of all this ICT in businesses and enterprises is being reflected here, right? It brings down costs. It basically makes things much more efficient. Productivity is much more highly automated and effective. Of course, on the other hand, there are also technical issues to be covered and technical issues to be solved. Yeah, I think that goes a lot of ways without saying. All right, so we move on to the last part, emerging technologies. So there's a quick discussion about this, but what more importantly is for you to just be aware. Yeah, all these terminologies is nothing new to you, except for maybe something called serverless computing, because a lot of our solutions today are very reliant on servers. Yeah, as simple as you connecting to, just searching something on Google requires a connection to a server closest to you. But there's a lot of aspects on how this can be removed, and of course then you are relying on other devices around you to create a network that serves each other at the end of the day. So there are a lot of emerging technologies which are considered something that is growing in the recent years. I'm sharing this image with you because then you can also check out the website online. It covers all the areas that was highlighted there, but I wanted you to expand in terms of your awareness as well. Yeah, some of these, I like this infographic a lot because it has very straightforward and yet easy to understand technologies. Yeah, AI, IoT, mobile social internet, blockchain, big data, automation, robots, immersive media. Now, this is important to everyone. Yeah, why? Because all these emerging technologies brings everyone together, brings business, finance, engineering, and computing and technology areas together as well to then build these applications that you see today. All right. The other infographic to just quickly share with you is, oh, please don't die on me. So this is something Gartner, which is a worldwide research company available today. These are the strategic trends that they have identified. Now, these, I don't really need you to go and find out what they are. Again, I just wanted you to see how strategic and how when you look into future technologies, there can be a lot of changes that is waiting to happen. And all this is something being spoken about within the next few years. Yeah. In conclusion of this whole page here, I would like to tell you that there is a lot of hybrid technologies which are existing today. Yeah. A lot that you see here is basically a combination of one or two or even three technologies that you saw in the previous infographic. Yeah. So at least you are able to then see, okay, it's not, the name might look like something new, but it is basically a combination. Yeah. McKinsey is another top company in the world today as well, in terms of research and a consultancy firm, especially in technology. McKinsey is also here in Malaysia, and these are their top 10 technologies that they have identified. And again, as I highlighted earlier, a lot of the technologies moving into the future is a lot of it which are a combination or rather a hybrid of different technologies that we have already experienced before. All right. some websites and additional links for you to look at. I've also shared some of this within Wakelet. Yeah, so a lot of those you can actually review within Wakelet as well. Again, there is a lot of those. When I search for these areas and technology, they are all revealing something which is similar across, but they do have something that they add on into it as well, which is good for you to look at. Yeah. Interestingly, out of your whole class with 80 of you, a few of you liked it, right? You liked the post, but I can see until now only one of you viewed it. So this is a sad face moment. Anyway, so all of you have mentioned before that before the topic, you would want to find out about a few things. You want to know what is going to be covered within the topic. So that's why I create this earlier in advance so that you'll get to know what will we cover within that week. Yeah. So please utilize this. If again I see only one or two views for these resources that I share with you, I'm honestly going to stop doing it because it takes effort on my end to compile this as well. Yeah, and if you're not appreciative of it, I'd rather not create it and put it there and get disappointed because you are not looking at the resources anyway. And for those who want it, later on you will probably need to contact me to get those materials anyway. Then at least I know if I'm giving it to you particularly, I know you're going to look at it. Or rather, I hope that you're going to look at it. All right. That is it. I will see the CT students tomorrow. I will see the business and finance students next week. We have gone a bit over time, but I will just adjust this accordingly. I've taken an additional 6 minutes. So apologies for that, but it is for a good reason anyway. At least we are done with the topic. And so Heidi says, does it show we viewed it if we didn't sign up? Yes, it does. Yeah. Thank you for Samuel for saying that as well. So it does, as long as you viewed it before, it will still be shown. All right, 4:30. I will just change this to 4:45 just in case. 2 hours. All right, here you go. Thank you again, guys. It's been fun. I always look forward to this class. So once you're done with your attendance, if you don't have anything to ask or inquire, you are allowed to go. I'll see you in your tutorials after this. Yeah. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Take care. You're welcome. Bye. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Wow, that is fast. Good.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care. Bye.